Welcome to USA Booming, the podcast where business gets personal. Here's Ryan and Sam.
Oh my goodness. Are we back at it again, man?
You know it. This time it's a different place.
It is a different place. We are coming at you guys, and thank you so much for joining us wherever you are. We're coming at you at a really unique spot. We're at what's called the basement. And it really is called the basement, guys. I hope you guys take a look out there on YouTube, wherever you see us. But this is a really unique spot. One thing that we do want to tell you a little bit about USA Booming, what we're trying to do is bring phenomenal people with phenomenal businesses experiencing hyper growth. They're doing things differently that a lot of entrepreneurs just can't seem to do. And that's actually turn a profit out there. Mm-hmm. And we've got one that's doing it really well. Now, before we go ahead and kick it off, I do want to just let you know, this is not a paid commercial. We sought Shana because she's awesome, has a great business. So, I don't know, Sam,
Well, hey, that goes both ways. There was no payment exchanged either way, right? We're not paying for guests either. So this is just somebody we've been attracted to for what she's doing with her business. And we are here in beautiful Baltimore, Maryland today. Baltimore is alive and well. Thanks for having us in the Charm City.
I'm so glad you guys could make it.
All right. I mean, with you guys, we're just not going to keep you in the dark anymore. We've got Shana Cosgrove. Shana, why don't you tell everybody the business is? I don't know, what do you do, Shana?
Hi, I am the CEO and founder of Nyla Technology Solutions. Nyla is a federal government contractor. We focus on the Department of Defense. We're primarily based, most of our customers at Fort Meade, Maryland. So it's a close drive right near Baltimore City. We focus on data science, so full stack software engineering, largely in a cloud-based environment, so tons of data coming through that needs to be processed. And we have a lot of data science. So we're doing a lot of analytics, AI, machine learning, and that's really our bread and butter.
Okay. So is it important for you to be central here in the Baltimore area? I mean, I know there's a big, obviously, government presence around here. Or is this something that you could probably do anywhere?
I came to Baltimore specifically because my husband, I met him at work and he said, hello, new girl.
It sounds like an HR issue.
I mean, what year? I mean,
it was, but it was like,
do that anymore these days? Like nowadays, everybody's so worried about.
He was the customer, but yeah. So he had a house in Baltimore and I moved in and came to love Baltimore, and we ended up being a city family, which was something I never expected either.
Okay. So when you guys met, we're just going to go kick it off with that there. So When you guys met, I mean, were you already doing this or did it evolve? Like, you said he was a previous customer, and tell us.
So both he and I, and most people who I think work in DoD engineering work in it most of their career. So I ended up getting hired outside of University of Virginia, and you're getting hired into Northern Virginia, which is filled with defense contractors. Yeah. And so my first job was working on the central control panel for a SH-60 helicopter. And I ended up staying in this field my whole career, really working on DoD my whole career. And he had been recruited from college and worked at the agency his whole career and loved it. And so we met working on a project.
All right. Now, for all of our layman's out there, what is DoD? Because we've heard that a couple times.
Thank you. Department of Defense.
Ugh, duh. All right. Did you know that? I'm sure you did.
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. Yes.
We'll slow walk it for you, bro.
So it's part. The U.S. government has a department, and that's where they buy a lot of things like planes and ships and, things to attack the Russian Facebook ads.
There we
like
go.
That.
Awesome. So you're like true frontline type stuff.
We're the nerds in the back, but yeah.
Okay. I heard the Democratic National Convention or the last debate, or what was this, Super Tuesday, right?
That was yesterday.
No Russian interference. Did you see that on your end?
I haven't checked, no.
Okay.
I'm not sure I believe it. They really do a lot of work to frequently give us misinformation and change people's minds on things.
Okay.
So you don't know where to trust. It's an active way of like sabotage.
Yeah, absolutely. Because all of a sudden you'll just see it on your Facebook and be like, "Oh, I knew it. Share
That's
it."
true. Yeah.
And then boom, it's viral. So, is that really? I mean, I'm not even. I don't even know if you get this much in the weeds, but is that really the main culprit that people are talking about? The way that they've interfered, or
I can't answer that question.
oh, I love it. That's awesome. All right.
Well, that's why we're in the vault today, right?
It is. Yeah. She could shoot us here. Nobody would know.
Well, somebody get this podcast out, please. Yeah. So you came to Baltimore. You've started your own company. Maybe walk us through those first few years and what you were looking to accomplish. How'd you get from working for someone to becoming the boss?
I think when I was about maybe even right after college, I had a sense of, well, I always wanted to be an executive in a software company. So I had a very strong sense that I wanted to work in a software company and I wanted to run it one day. So I was the kid who said, like, "Nice to meet you. How long before I can be like CEO or vice president?" And then I started working for smaller businesses and realized that people started, I know that sounds ridiculous, but I didn't know, like, people start businesses and never understood anything about it. And
Right.
I got a bug to start a business and, tried to partner with a friend from grad school. And her dad was like, "You guys are way too young. You don't know what you're doing." And so years went by and just, it was something I kept thinking, like, how people see they want to run a marathon or they want to climb a mountain. This bug never went away from me. No matter what I did, I just kept interviewing people who had done it and wasn't clear how to start, but I just knew I really wanted to do it. And so I worked for a man so I left a really big company that was a research and development center. It was a nonprofit. So I was like, all right, I have to work for somebody who's focused on making money. And I went to work for a really small business that was very illuminating to see how he did it and what he was doing. And then I took a random job with I was kind of always interested in the job and how interesting I found the job over the company. And so I took this random job, and that's when I met my husband. But by the time I met my husband, I said, "Nice to meet you. I'm starting a company." and that's what I ended up doing.
So you talked about interviewing people along the way that had started businesses. Was there someone in particular that maybe was a mentor to say, "You can do this"?
That's a great question. I worked with a man on contract. So it's actually really common in government contracting that the engineers end up founding it, and then they actually work on contract because they like it and they enjoy it. It's
Right.
their work, and doing the business side isn't as fun to them. So they hire someone who does business and they're still working. So this man had gone to, we were working on satellites, and he had gone to Stanford for engineering, and he was just a great person, and his company was really amazing. And, I didn't know him that well, but at that lunch, he said to me, "You will learn whatever you need to learn when you need to learn it." Because someone before had been like, "You're starting a company? I can't believe you're going to do that. Do you know this? Do you know this? Do you know this?"
Exactly, though,
And
right? There's going to be naysayers.
Anyway,
Right, yeah.
that's another one I want to. But this guy just said, when we did our first thing, it's a form, and we looked at it, and we're relatively smart people, and we took our best guess answering it. And, things change so much anyway. So plus there's Google, and there's people to help you along. And I thought that was really kind to say, like, just go do it. He didn't tell me how hard it was, but that really stuck with me for a long time over, like, other people who I've spent more time with. And another one said, have a partner. And I didn't, my husband started with me, but he was still in the government. So kind of emotionally and from the day to day, I was really by myself because we had a newborn, and we're focusing on having another one. And I think now that I have a leadership team, it's more fun. But there's pluses and minuses to each side. I know people who have divorces, corporate divorces,
Sure.
And I feel like it's been slower going till I finally had my team together. But I think that I'm blanking on the guy's name, but it was Brad. And
It's
so Brad,
okay.
if you're
You don't
listening,
need to say his name.
I really appreciated
There you go,
just
Brad.
even that letting me take you to lunch and that advice.
Awesome.
And it's really taken me far.
So now, just kind of rewinding back a little bit, I mean, a lot of our listeners are, college kids, right? Interested in starting their businesses, or what is it like to be an entrepreneur? So you said something along the lines like you always wanted to do it. It tells me that you were always kind of looking out for a way to branch out and start your own business. Or was it that you really had an idea, you just wanted to find the opportunity, right? Which, tell me a little bit about, is it just a burning heart to be an entrepreneur? Or?
Yeah, it wasn't clear. For a long time, that was what the challenge was. It wasn't clear how I would start or what I would sell or what that first entree point would be, because I knew I wanted it to be a software company, but at that point in time, I wasn't developing software myself. So it wasn't like I had a product that I wanted to sell, and I essentially wanted to start a government contracting firm, and I didn't understand any of that and really where to get started. I think I don't know when I read E-Myth, but I read E-Myth, and it had I always suggest everyone read E-Myth because it's such a great book. And I think being a solo entrepreneur is very hard. And I think everyone should build something that's sellable.
Mm-hmm. So now, and as far as always wanting to be an executive in software, I mean, you don't need us to tell us it's a male-dominated industry. Mm-hmm. Being a female is I would imagine there's some hurdles with that. I mean, with that said, I mean, how have you found gender to be an issue at all, or do you just kind of push through it? I mean,
well, you push through it because I'm still here,
right.
and I've had experiences from both sides. I've had positive and negative from men and women. Right, I've had some terrible experiences with both, and I've had some very positive experiences as well. I think the biggest thing I struggled with is my personality doesn't fit a stereotype of an engineer, and so I was frequently pushed into non-engineering roles, and or told repeatedly, essentially like, you're an engineer, which makes you think over time that there's something wrong with you, that you don't belong. And I don't know if it was gender or just the way I present myself, the way I talk or express myself,
Sure.
and it's not sort of standard for the way engineers are today.
okay.
So, for example, data science is much less, has a much smaller gender imbalance. There's a lot of female data scientists. There's actually quite a number of women who major in math. So computer science and electrical engineering still remains very male dominated, but equally as hard is a math major or studying analytics
Sure.
and developing analytics. And I don't know why that is, but there's a lot more women who are studying math, and God bless them, because data scientists make as much as a software engineer. So I'm always happy to see those women with their math majors raking in the big bucks.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. So you start the company and you jump in. What would you say was the jump start to actually saying, I have a viable, marketable business?
Yes.
Well, I feel like you're asking me like emotional. So I didn't consider it a real business, even when I got like a check or the website. And even when I had a couple people, I was like, well, anybody can do this. This is ridiculous. So I think the first moment I was proud was when we were about 20, 25 people, because we really started to pull from the pack. There's a lot of one-person businesses or really small businesses in my space. So I just felt like yet another nail salon now once I'm starting to get bigger and I have mass and other people are replicating that energy versus me driving it, that's when I felt, okay, this is a real business. When people took pride in wearing the brand versus like, I don't know who I'm working for, but I'm getting a check.
Right.
I felt very proud.
Awesome.
You put your stamp on the industry at that point.
Yeah, I felt like I had gotten to the first mini mountain.
So let's talk about that a little bit. We'll rewind the clock back a little bit. I mean, you started this business. You were a mother, right?
Right. I had a 1-year-old.
Had a 1-year-old, visions of other children coming on.
Yeah.
So, just because not everybody just up and starts a business. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what that was like, what the idea was, and really just kind of what brought it all to be? Is there...
Well, like I said, for so many years I had wanted to do it. And so by the time I met my husband, I said, I'm going to do this. And up at Fort Meade, there's actually a lot of other people who have small businesses. So even there it was, like the guy next to me and the other guy next to me and maybe this woman down the Cube farm, we all have businesses. And so it was like, all right, well, I can get through the paperwork to do this. But the growth and having others want to help you and to give you a shot, because in the beginning, what's your story? What's your differentiator? And even though I thought I knew maybe business better than other engineers, I didn't. And it's hard to know how to express yourself as a differentiator. In the beginning, you're just kind of desperate for any amount of work or any shot that someone will give you. And I was pregnant again,
right?
And interviewing and crazy. I was obsessed with like making sure my baby was okay and my company was okay and that we were on track.
Crazy. Got to be crazy.
I think, I've never been chill. I think if I had been like other people kind of enjoy it more. It's more journey. Like it's more like their goal is lifestyle. And mine was, I really want to make something where when people have worked there, we have added real value to their lives, right? That's our clear differentiator, that they could have their choice of where they go to work for the same exact day job, but they feel that they've been enriched while they're with us. So that's been, which is kind of different. And then also trying to shape their execution too, so that we are making a very clear, improved differentiator on the projects that we're working on. So I say, like, you could go to McDonald's or you could go to Chick-fil-A, right? Or you could go to Macy's. Does that still exist?
Barely, but it's hanging on.
Sort of, kind of, yeah.
Or you could go to Nordstrom, right? And so,
right.
Yes, you can get both done either way, but which one is like the one that people are lining up or raving about, or it's still thriving? And that's really when you are providing a better experience both for the employees and then really for the customer. So I have this vision of not only were people positively impacted when they worked for us, but that the clients were, that they are like, oh, good, Nyla's here, right? And that we were known for a series of successes, partly because I don't look for people who simply do what they're told. I look for people who are comfortable working collaboratively together, that they're thinkers, that they are thinking through different ways that it can be, the goal can be achieved.
So with some of those trepidations you had in starting a business, what were some of the things you didn't expect, either positive or negative, as now you look back on your beginnings?
I think if you have a child, it's very akin to having a child. I had no idea. You've seen people do it, right, and you're arrogant, and you're like, I'll never do that.
Right. My kid will never have the phone at the restaurant.
I'll never mess up payroll. I'll never get somebody's name wrong. I'll never be late on my emails back to people. So I think I was arrogant about how hard it is. And what's nice is my dad's girlfriend has her own business, and I called her crying one night, and she's like, "Nobody owes you anything." Like the world just doesn't like hand you work. And I thought because I had been such a good engineer, it would be a very simple transition. Oh, wow. Like, oh well, I'm so liked as an engineer that it's going to be a simple transition. And maybe I think I underestimate that it has been easy for me compared to maybe others, but it felt very hard and challenging. It was a lot of work. I think I didn't expect to work as hard as I do. I definitely did not work this hard as an employee. It's a really extreme amount of work.
It's funny, as you were saying that your dream was to be an executive in software. I was going to ask, is it all that you thought it was? And it's a lot more work, right? I mean, a lot of people see the the gorgeous building and right, some of the awards that you've won. And by the way, you guys, please look up Shana. She is phenomenal. I mean, I tell you what, I'm going to back it up just real quick because I want to talk a little bit about where you guys are right now. Is there an award out there? I mean, Shana and Nyla Technology Solutions has really kind of blown doors off.
They've made their mark. Yeah, they're starting. The secret's out.
I think we're starting to.
Yeah. So is there a particular award out there that you kind of say, hey, super proud of that one?
Well, we kind of hit it. It was like hitting a home run out of the gate. So we won the Maryland Small Business Association Woman-Owned Business of the Year in 2019.
Congratulations!
And that was wild. That was just, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't. It was very, very exciting. And I told my poor father the wrong location of the award ceremony. So he barely made it in time. And then we won one for a top 10 in tech in Baltimore. And that was really exciting. It was exciting to see kind of the other people. Baltimore is a very small town, which I really like about it. And it was interesting to see who's out there and what they're doing and being inspired by them. And I think when you ask about what I didn't expect from business, it's funny because I didn't expect how much I would change or have to change to be successful, right? You can't be the same just as you are with a parent, or your kid changes ages and you have to learn and do different things.
Right.
And I have a hard time with people sort of looking at me and having this everything's perfect image. And I'm trying to accept that it's their perception. It's not something I think I push out of like my life is perfect. And I really struggle with that dissonance of people thinking, oh, it's easy. So it's that cheesy iceberg poster where people only see the top and they're not seeing that, constant 4 a.m. grind or 5 a.m. when my husband are up consistently pounding it out, or like our kids asleep and we're still sitting there working. But yeah, so I think I get uncomfortable when people think it's all easy and easy for me.
I hear you. And Ryan, maybe you should take that cheesy iceberg poster out of your office now.
Do you have it?
I was going to get it tattooed. I really was. There's a tattoo parlor down the way. I was like, man.
There's a lot of tattoo parlors around here.
Oh, cool. Maybe get an iceberg while you're here.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people don't focus on how much they really do work, right? 2 a.m. morning, nights, right? And then you're up at 5 a.m. continuing to do the same thing, solving the same problem that you've been working on for a little bit. So thank you for going in for that. Yeah.
But I will say most of the time, I enjoy it, right? It finally doesn't feel like work a huge portion of the time, because
Awesome.
it's what I like. I think it's a good fit for my personality. I always sort of thought that this is what I would be happy doing, and I am happy doing it. I do. Though I like to complain, just like when I go to the gym, I like to complain about how hard the reps are. I'm a complainer. So I want it all to be easy. I want it to be like the brochures.
Well, and so one thing, we've all got kids here sitting at this table here. And when I discipline my children and I see them crying or these types of things, I go back to this Marine Corps saying that says, what I say is like, them crying is just their spoiledness leaving their body, right? Like, pain is just weakness leaving your body, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, you kind of approach it like an athlete or almost a Marine Corps, right? Like you just kind of keep going at it, and the pain is secondary.
Yeah, I think that's one of the mental changes I just had recently, which is recognizing that there will be downs kind of consistent, right? There will be, just like a marriage has ups and downs, and you think it's going to always be the great times, but not being so shocked or so upset that there are bad times, and maybe planning for it a little bit, and knowing that there will be fires that you have to address, and building that into your schedule and the way that you execute.
Right.
Well, and that's why we're here today. It went past paycheck and into passion. You can't shake that. So that's really cool.
No, absolutely.
Fast forwarding a little bit, what are you working on now with Nyla Technology Solutions, and what are you getting up at 4 a.m. for now that keeps you going?
We got a couple things. We spent our fall and early winter submitting some big proposals. So if we win, that'll rock our world. It'll cause us to double. Thank you. Yeah. It'll cause us to double in size if we win both.
Awesome.
So preparing the company for that, preparing to be a better subcontractor to some of the primes and expanding our reach. So some of our partners have won work, and making sure that we're a good partner to them. Improving our status quo, what I call status quo daily operations, how we perform as a team. And one thing I'm really excited about is, well, I was really nervous, but I created 2 internal training programs and that we're going through this year. So I created a leadership development program. And now all of us have been, the executive team has been leaders in other places, but we haven't been one together. And we haven't been one together under the context of Nyla. So I wanted us to not just team building, but really experience who are we, part of that definition of who are we as we go through this development together. And I think personally, I definitely need leadership training myself. So it was like, if I need it, you need it.
Is that where it was born from? Is just kind of the idea that this is something that I could use? And
yes,
right?
Yes. And it was also born out of compliance for hitting over 50 employees. So it was, what do we legally need to know? Thank you. Well, not yet, but thank you. So what do we legally need to know before we hit over 50? And so just going through some of that appropriate training. And then I created a, they say the best way to build business is with your current customers. And so I developed a course for, if you're an engineer on contract and that's your goal to be like the best engineer ever, there are still things that you can do, and information, or maybe a lunch that you can have that can help us grow our business.
Sure.
And I've said that for a long time. I realized like, if you're entrepreneurial, that's great. And you don't have to start your own business from scratch. You can help grow within Nyla. But I never explained to anyone how it works, what it's like relative to us, what our opportunity landscape is, who in the company can support you. So I'm doing every other month in person, and then every other month it's a phone call, like to follow up on your homework assignment. And so I was pretty nervous to launch it. And of course I didn't have any time to really heavily prepare. I laid out the ideas and the value and what the outputs were that I was hoping that the people would achieve. So I'm
actually amazed that you didn't outsource this in some way, that it actually came from you. It sounds like you're leading it too.
I'm not facilitating everyone, but the reason I didn't outsource this entirely is because some of it has to be very specific to us, to the business, and our vision and our business. So I'm having some facilitators come in and specifically walk us through certain things. Like one example is being a leader as a coach and how to execute and perform on that. Another one is public speaking, getting better at public speaking and how we're presenting ourselves as executives. And so I'm just lining it up. But some of the sessions are very detailed to us and what it means to us and where we're headed. And like you specifically versus, hey, go take some class with a bunch of other random people.
Right.
And then you don't know where that applies here. So I'm very focused on execution.
That's awesome.
It's not enough that someone does training. It's what does that training apply to our context, and what would you do next with this information? And so I wanted it the same thing. Like it wasn't enough to just tell you like, oh, here's this file that you could look at that tells you the contracts we're on. It's no, you actually need to be walked through, and then we need to follow up. Like, do you get it now? Now that you had time to look at it at home, what are your questions? And also it's building our camaraderie and relationship and collaboration as well.
Okay.
And so I think that's been, it's an experiment. So trying it out with some people, and have a budget of like, what do I think this is going to run? So it's an investment in us. But I'm pretty excited about it. And I'm pretty excited.
That sounds like other fast-growing businesses we know. They double down and keep throwing it back into the business.
It does. And to all our listeners out there and viewers, I mean, one of the you've got a couple things going on here that I really just want to point out to everybody that's listening is, one, you say vision quite a bit. You have a vision, right? So we're going to get into that vision real quick before we flip you over to the fishbowl and make you a little uncomfortable, hopefully. But, you talk about vision and then let's just go do it, right? Like we can make tweaks along the line. We're just going to go ahead and go fire away. So, I mean, I don't know if you can speak to either vision or just kind of going and getting it, but I guess what would you say is more important for an entrepreneur, to have that vision or the attitude of never say die, I'm just going to go ahead and do it and let's see what happens? What has benefited you the most in creating Nyla?
Well, I think you absolutely have to have the consistency to work. And I think that's where most people fail, because it's hard. Like, I mean, I struggle with a healthy diet, for example, and I couldn't run a marathon because of the time commitment, and it seems really hard. So I think, and there are times where it is low and you feel beaten and you've eaten, the doo-doo that people are throwing at you, and it's like you got to wipe it off and you got to get back up and you got to do what you think is right. So I think vision is important because I'm trying to rally people's energy in a certain way. But it's sort of like strong beliefs loosely held, because there's what you think and then there's what life happens and the changes that occur. And so kind of open to experimentation and that's also a software practice, right? Like you got to try, you got to put it out there in the world versus holding back and trying to do perfect. So the very first thing you should do in software is like put it in front of people and get feedback. You should constantly be testing with actual people. And so, it's easy to, like, if the class is a terrible waste of time, it's easy to cancel it, right? No big whoop. If we make we've made strategic missteps. We won a contract that is actually costing us time and energy in a negative way. But that helped me, in a positive way, like that helped me hone, okay, we are not doing that anymore. And
learn from it.
Yeah. So I think the number one thing is execution is hard, because it's hard to do it endlessly and to not get bogged down when people tell you can't. And a lot of people, or at least for me, a lot of people will tell you cannot do it. And so there's not going to be people cheerleading yourself along the way. You have to believe that you can do it. And I've just had this belief that I could do it, and nobody's going to prove me wrong.
Awesome. That's a dime right there.
Yeah. Just end it right there.
That was awesome. That was really good. So I don't know. I mean, do you have anything else to go over before we turn her on?
No, let's throw her to the bowl.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, we referenced the fish bowl, and if some of you guys have listened to us before, this is one of our favorite parts, right? So, Shana, she's used to talking to investors and employees and telling them how great Nyla is, which it really is phenomenal. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. But we're going to go ahead and try to get her to unplug a little bit here and tell us a little bit more about what really makes Nyla and Shana and her family and all that stuff really work. So with that, we have random questions for Shana to answer for us. And I think Sam has already picked one out. So we're going to fire away. Are you good with us for another 10, 12 minutes?
Yeah,
something
definitely.
like that, to have a little bit more fun? All right. So with that, Sam, why don't you go ahead and fire the first one, my friend?
We'll keep it in the tech world a little bit. Everyone is attached to their phone. So do you have a go-to app right now, or some of your favorites?
I super love Slack for work. I love Slack. We're a distributed workforce. I really love Slack.
So how has Slack helped you? Just not everybody might know about Slack, but it's really coming on pretty big. I mean,
Slack helped answer the question of how do we stay collaborative when we're all distributed in a different environment, and because email wasn't working. So as we got bigger, we were losing what we needed to do. We were losing conversations. My husband would text me on my phone, and then it would get messed up with, like, what are we ordering for dinner?
Absolutely.
So it's this nice running list that you can search back through. And we use it pretty heavily with a tool called Workist. Okay. And Workist is how we track all of our action items and to-dos. So that if anybody has anything, it's a person's name, what the action is, and a due date. So it's very clear, and you can always go check what your to-dos are because things happen so fast. So that's they're integrated together, and that's been a process that I've been very adamant about. That even if someone wants me, you can't just tell me in conversation. You still have to give me the to-do because we're running around so fast, and then it's captured there. And then I just take a ton of pictures of my kids.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, in a fast-growing business, I'm sure there's plenty of people that could stay busy, but is it moving the ball forward?
Correct, yeah.
So to have an app like that, I like how she kept it in the business world, even though we're trying. That's great.
I am on Slack all the time, but I did actually, I will say, I turned off all notifications. So it used to buzz on my phone all the time. And now I only open it when I'm ready so that I can do some of that deep work or deep thinking. I'm on LinkedIn a lot.
Okay. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, she just told you she's on LinkedIn. So if you start to hear some of the stuff that, I'm sure people could look you up and shoot an email out to you, kind of find out.
Sure.
Had to put the phone down. Started to get caught up in work. So with that, we're going to go ahead and switch gears here.
And Uber. We use Uber a lot. Yeah.
You have to. I mean, ever since I had kids, if I have more than a couple, I just get an Uber.
Yeah.
It's still not worth it.
Yeah. Well, we live in the city too. And so sometimes it's like, it's not worth the parking or
Yeah.
I parallel parked for the first time in a while coming here. I did great. I patted myself on the back.
My biggest fear is having that mug shot. Like you just had one too many. And so anyway, Uber's good. I know you never have to deal with that, Sam. So anyway, speaking of needing an Uber every now and then, the one that I pulled is kind of timely. So the way I would answer this is maybe what's the setting? So if there's a particular setting that you can picture yourself in, right? So we're going to envision yourself at a sweet spot. And what we want to know is, what is your favorite beer, cocktail? And if there's a particular setting that goes along with that, we'd be open to hearing about it. But do you have a favorite out there?
Oh, yeah. That's an easy one. We love Negronis. So Negroni is Campari gin, Hendrick's gin. I don't like random gins. So it's strictly Hendrick's gin.
Love it.
And what is this? The sweet vermouth? Is it sweet vermouth? Yeah, sweet vermouth. Mm-hmm. So we have those a lot, and I don't think location matters. My husband makes really great ones, and we like to sit by our. We have an old school fireplace at our house, and just like to sit and
That's awesome.
eat some good cheeses, and then I would say second is red wine.
There we go. Just a simple red wine. And yeah, awesome. Cool. Very good.
I don't know how I did this. I got another one kind of similar to the last one. And we're not fishing for any compliments on this one. What are a few of your favorite podcasts right now?
That's actually a great question. So I used to listen to Tim Ferriss all the time. I was obsessed.
He's awesome. Yeah.
He is awesome. And I've gotten some really life-changing ideas, but I felt like, and he is changing as a person, which is now reflected in his podcast guests. But for a long time, he was a bit too much of a bro, and was always like, these are the best people in the world. And then I only interview a chick if she's like hot or in the sex industry. And
that's really why we did it. No. Just joking.
I had to stop listening to him. So, but now he's getting touchy-feely. So he just interviewed Brené Brown. But I listen to, there's a life coach because I think a lot of what I need to work on, I'm not struggling with motivation, but struggling with my mindset and keeping my mindset neutral and prepared. So I listen to this life coach, and there's a woman named Allie Brown who interviews high-performing women called Glambition, and there's a Wall Street Journal has just started interviewing very successful women as well. And so it's interesting hearing their stories. So I guess I only work.
Well, we can't wait to hear you on that Wall Street Journal one day.
That would be great, Mike, to be on Forbes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're a stepping
Me and
stone
Kylie
to Forbes.
Jenner.
Yeah. People say we are a stepping stone to Forbes. So
Good.
We must be like the single A team.
Starts with a step.
Hey, all big things start with small beginnings, is what I like to say. So anyway, I'm going to go on to mine, and again, I got another cool one that's a little bit more personable. So I'm excited about this one. So we talked a little bit about travel and these types of things before we really got on and put on the podcast. So if we could snap our fingers and put you anywhere on the planet, anywhere, where would it be?
Well, my big dream is to go to Bora Bora and to have one of those huts over the water. Yeah.
I think
that is one of my big dreams. But we spent the summer at Lake Louise in the Canadian Rockies, and it was really spectacular. But I think anywhere where my family is and we're on vacation, where I don't have to cook.
Yeah, with the family.
That's I don't have to cook. I don't have to clean.
It's fun. Bora Bora and Canadian Rockies. I'm not sure how much cell phone reception you're getting.
That sounds good.
That's great.
That sounds good.
That's great. It's funny. I didn't come from a whole lot as a kid, and I go ahead and I get married, and I scrapped up some money to save up for all this, and just getting the ring was big enough for me. And it was like, so where are we going to go on our honeymoon? And she showed me the Bora Bora thing, and I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? How am I going to afford this?
So 10 years ago, the coach tickets, fly coach, was $2,500 per person.
Yes.
No, or was it $2,500 one way?
It's probably $2,500 one way.
Yeah, and I was like, ugh. And then like the other would be to go, I've never been on a safari, and those look pretty cool. But I want to wait till my kids are older so they're not going to be like eaten.
That's probably a good prerequisite, right?
Yeah.
Right now it's Orlando or Disney cruise or anything like that. But
yeah.
So we'll do another one here. Like we said, we're in Baltimore today. So with us not being locals, if we were new to the city, tell us what to do here in the Charm City.
Well, I think everyone would have you start at the Inner Harbor, but I think if you love sports, I mean, this is an amazing sports town, right? You have the Orioles, you have the Ravens, which did an amazing job this year. Definitely Fells Point and Canton are really strong and great areas to go out, do a bar crawl in Federal Hill. You have to eat oysters. So 100% you have to have crabs. So you have to have the crabs with all the Old Bay, and you have to eat oysters, and you have to have an Orange Crush. Have you had an Orange Crush before?
Yes, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My wife's addicted.
Yeah. So I would say crabs is like you got to go to the crab place and get, roll up those sleeves, get the bib on, and have some Natty Boh.
Well, and while we're talking about Baltimore, talk about where we actually are right now and what you're trying to do by being as you called it, a city family.
So we are in the Mount Vernon area of Baltimore, which is where the wealthy industrialists in the late 1800s and early 1900s. So extreme wealth. They started the B&O Railroad, starts in Baltimore. That's the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, which was a huge part of, I believe, the Civil War was the use of the railroad for the North. And so you have these unbelievable city houses and mansions, and the architecture is largely saved. So our office happens to be in an old city mansion from 1900, and I just love the history and the old all the details. And yeah, I never thought I would end up living in a city. I grew up in the suburbs, and actually a lot of the tech jobs that we had were always suburban. Mm-hmm. And I moved into DC when I was single, and I had major culture shock. So I lived in the city for the first time when I was 30. And it was really fun because all your friends are right nearby, and you can run out and do all these things and then go back and take a nap. So I was like, this is what a fun college experience must have been like. I lived in the computer lab, so I didn't have as much fun. And then when I met my husband, he was living in the city already, and I came to really love it. We live right near the Inner Harbor. Our old house was right by the Inner Harbor, so we walked around. Everyone's very friendly. It is very small Baltimore, so you have a lot of friends. There's a lot to do. It's very accessible. Like, no one's snooty. Everyone really wants to know who you are as a person versus sizing you up for what you could offer them. Mm-hmm. And where like DC is very business, a lot of people don't stay there. Here, people really stay and put roots. And so, I I came to love it. And we plan on probably living in the city till our kids graduate high school.
Super cool. Super cool. And I even got a little history lesson right there. I mean, I'm a big Monopoly fan. I did not know that the B&O Railroad.
Yeah, you should go see it. It's a great, they have a great museum. So
Awesome.
we used to take our son there all the time.
I'm just glad you didn't ask her to spell B&O.
I think I know that one, maybe, but all right. So listen, we told you we'd only take about 30 minutes. I think we've gone over our time. So I was really hoping the fishbowl would break out something kind of crazy, and it gave me something. So we'll go with it. So anyway, Shana, tell us something about yourself that most people don't know.
I like that one.
She's like, damn, what am I saying?
I grew up singing opera when I was a kid.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Can you belt a note here?
No, I get too embarrassed. I'm like that WB frog where I don't sing if anyone's around. But yeah, I was the choir I was in operas, and then I in college kept it up and was like singing opera too. So
Wow, you sang in college?
well, just I took lessons all through college. Yeah,
Super cool.
I had actually wanted to. I guess I'm very left and right brained both, which also makes me unusual. I wanted to major in English and voice, or computer science.
With a minor in math and science.
Yeah. Well, I really wanted to just study it all. Like I loved it all. I wish I could have afforded to do another year. Like I studied world religions too. I was very curious about that. But my mother said, you know, I'm not paying for a voice degree. And I didn't really want to do, I didn't want to do that for a living. So it was like a passion and you know, it's like just when you're good at something, I'm good at it, and it was exciting to get better at it, but it wasn't how I want to make a living. And it's not really a hobby now.
So when we turn the podcast off, we're going to have to get a note or two.
Yeah. Well, and one more time, just off of that.
I'm sure my sister will bring out like some old videos.
I was going to ask, should we like have your husband like record you while you're in the shower or something singing, and you think nobody's listening? Or I mean, actually, to that, I mean, where when you do sing, I mean, I would imagine you still throw some pipes up there. Where do you sing?
So I found the weirdest thing is when I go to this government building. I don't know if it's like a weird.
Never mind that. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I end up singing there in the hallway.
That's awesome.
I don't know if it's like a stress reliever or a nervous habit, but that's where
You walk in,
like
hear the
work
echo,
bathrooms.
and then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, so less my house, more work bathrooms.
So if you guys are in Baltimore and you hear somebody just ripping it in the bathroom vocally, it might be Shana. But anyway, go ahead, Sam.
But you know,
I'm gonna digress.
if we have time for a couple more, it's funny you just talked about that, and what I pulled out of the fishbowl was, if you could join any past or current music group, who would it be?
I don't know that I would want to be a group. You know, this is probably the entrepreneur in me. I would want to be like Madonna,
Yeah.
Rihanna. I think
You just have one name, right?
that's me. Yeah, there's no group. There's a backup band, but that was like a bad question. It's like, so I think I'm inspired by, women like that who have really pushed the envelope and are brave, right? Rihanna has been brave to really break those norms and to stand out. So I admire that. That's who I think I would be.
That's a perfect.
That's who I am in my head.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have time for one more each?
Sure.
One more each, and we'll let you get back with your family.
Sure.
So speaking of your family, and if you guys hear a little beeping back there, we're just trying to
Backing up a truck.
Yeah. Its battery's dying. But anyway, getting to the cool stuff, we were talking about getting you back to your family and all that. So as we're reflecting the family, even as a little kid, right? What is your favorite family vacation?
Well, I like variety, so I think I like anyone where we're doing something together. But I like to be active, so I really like a vacation where we go biking, where we go on walks. Maybe
Right.
we go to an amusement park. So I don't think there's one specific thing. It's just I like being active, so I don't like one that's where you're like sitting a lot.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, we went on one where it was a drive with my friend in Denver, and I was like, I got to get out of the car. I cannot sit this much on a vacation. I need to be
Absolutely
out and about and doing things. Yeah.
For sure.
Cool. So last one.
All right. Better be a good one.
The pressure.
Yeah. No pressure, no diamonds. Do you have a favorite book
Well, I did say
or a good read lately?
I did say E-Myth for business. I think that the book Influence, or I don't know what it's called. That's a business one. Personal books that have really made an impression on me are two. One is The Color Purple. Mm-hmm. That book is really powerful. And oh my God, Maya Angelou's I Know Why Did the Caged Bird Sings. Her story is so incredible, and
that's a heavy book.
It's heavy, and it's like her spirit and the way she writes is so beautiful. It's her I Know Why the Caged Bird Sing is less depressing than The Color Purple. But I think I love these, I don't know why, but these stories of this determined spirit, I guess, who can't be stopped, and the human condition and kind of what we do to people. I just, in Maya Angelou, it's like absolutely unbelievable that she is who she is, and what she lived, and she had these two totally different worlds. Actually, Trevor Noah's book about his, oh God, I forget the name of it, but it's an ode to his mother. So Trevor Noah had this unbelievable, ballsy, brave mother, and he lived between this world. He grew up in apartheid in South Africa, and his dad had like a normal middle class life, and he talks about the slums, or these ghettos that were created for the South Africans who were Black, and it's just an unbelievable story, and it's very sweet how it's this basically telling of how impactful his mother was. And my mother was like that. So I had this really, it's not easy to be like that. So we actually have at our anniversary dinner, I give an award called the Nyla Leader Award, because it is hard to be the person who cuts down the thicket. It is hard to be the one in front, and you get your bumps and bruises, and it's much easier and safer to be the second one and to follow behind a path that has already been paved for you. And so I think I just respond to those, or relate, because I've taken my bumps. I can't not speak up. I can't not do something. I have to take care of this. And, that's irritating to people who just want to can we just take care of it? So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Thanks for that.
Listen, you guys, that was another dime she just dropped on us. I think you're not afraid to be the one that's cutting down the thicket, but
just one last thing. Any last words you want to give? Any encouragement to other entrepreneurs, maybe even that next generation out there? And we'll leave with that.
Yeah, I think if you want to do it, you should do it. There's nothing stopping you. That literally anyone, there's no amount of education or connections or money. Everyone has a story to tell. It just really is tenacity. It's yours for the taking. And I think the thing that I find most exciting is this is the American dream. I'm my ancestors' dream. They came here for a better life, and they lived, and then my mother, gave to me. And I just think that this is what America is. If you want it, you can go get it. I can't believe I'm here where I am.
That's awesome. So Shana, how do people find you one more time real quick?
They can find me on LinkedIn as Shana Cosgrove. I also have my own website, shanacosgrove.com. There
we go, you guys. She is awesome. I please go ahead and take her, look her up, their LinkedIn, wherever you want to go. And I don't know, Sam, you want to say goodbye to everybody? But this was awesome. Thank you so much, Shana.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, my pleasure. Welcome to Baltimore.
There we go. Y'all have a good one.